This hour is brought to you by Sweetland Waste and Removal Service, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995.
Well, we're coming to your city. Gonna play our guitars and sing you a country song. We'll all be flying higher than a jetliner. And if you want a little bang in your yin yang, come along.
Well, come along and welcome aboard to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday, September 30th, the last Monday of September. We're about out of it, almost in October. Jim Coyle with you, as always, here, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. Jake's at the wheel, keeping things on the track. Lots to get to. Big weekend for Indiana, almost coming up with a huge win up in East Lansing. Not quite, but we'll talk about it with the great voice of the Hoosiers, Don Fischer. He'll be on with us here in this hour. Also, Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier joins us as well. We'll hear from Coach Allen and all the players. Mike Penix, Stevie Scott, Walt Fillier, Tywan Mullen, all those guys, man, great performances, great efforts, great game plan. Kalen DeBoer, I told you, I've been telling you, Indiana's offense is going to be fine. And if that game didn't show you that, man, you don't put 31 points on Michigan State. You just don't do what Indiana did to them. Graham Couch, who's been on the show before, he's from the East Lansing paper. He was in the post game and he was talking to Stevie Scott and said, "You all did what I haven't seen done to Michigan State in at least a calendar year." It was asking him how they did that, but especially for a team that the big question mark had been about the offensive line and the running game. And not that Indiana ran all over Michigan State, but Stevie Scott rushed for nearly 4 yards a carry on his 18 carries. They had 70 yards rushing, which is more than most teams get. Unfortunately, Indiana was allowing the Spartans to rush for 142 yards. Michael Penix ended up starting the game, which we didn't know, but I was pretty confident that was going to be the case. But he showed you why. I mean, a lot of the game plan called for a lot of short passes that he completed as well. But, man, just missed on some of those big-time downfield throws. But then there were some into the end zone that he perfectly placed. He completed 20 straight at one point. First of all, that's second most in the history of the Big Ten Conference. But the pass that stopped the streak wasn't incomplete. Ty Freifogel, it was into the end zone to Ty Freifogel. He just didn't get his foot down. On the very next pass, it goes to Donovan Hale into the end zone for a touchdown. So he probably would have broken that record had Ty Freifogel been able to get his foot in bounds. That was the 21st pass. But Michigan State had to respect that long ball. That opened up the running game. The offensive line, Matthew Bedford, unbelievable job. Offense, Michael Penix coming back after injury, unbelievable job. Talk about cool-headed. The dude's a freshman. He was on the road. He had never played a road game in the Big Ten, period, for Indiana. Man, that was something to see. Defensively, Indiana's got some issues. And if you want me to be honest, and I am, that's what I usually am always, it starts at the top. And by the top, I mean the defensive coordinator. Everybody saw the video of Tom Allen of showing his displeasure with Kane Womack. I think that was probably at the half. But there's Indiana gave up, oh my God, on that final drive, they gave up 74 yards in 2 plays. You got guys like Tywone Mullen that's looking so good. And then you got other guys that aren't. You had missed assignments. You had missed tackles. That comes down to the guy in charge, and that's Kane Womack. Indiana's defense has been a great disappointment up to this point. I've got to say. I don't think that I'm saying anything that is just simply not true. They've got to get that fixed, man. This is a good team. This team has talent. There's a reason I picked them at the beginning of the year to win between 7 and 8 games. I think they still can. They still can do that. But let's hear from Tom Allen after the game and hear what he had to say.
Tough way to lose. Proud of our team. Thought our kids fought. It's hard to face them in the locker room knowing how hard they played and look them in the eye, and a lot of tears in there, and there should be. Because when you invest the way our guys invest and you work the way our guys worked, then it ought to hurt. And it does, but proud of this football team. Come on the road against top 25 team and had our chances. So just gotta find a way to make one more play. But you start a true freshman left tackle, probably the hardest position on offense to play in a hostile environment against a great defensive line. And I thought Matt Bedford did an awesome job in his first start. And then you started a freshman quarterback, his first road game. In conference play, and you saw the way Mike Penix played. So thought Coach DeBoer, Kalen did a great job with the game plan to be able to maximize the things that we thought we could do against them, and we're effective in that regard. So just, disappointing to not be able to get that stop at the end of the half and stop at the end of the game. To me, those are kind of the two things that sealed our fate. So, but a lot of positive things, and we will continue to focus on that, which we need to do to keep growing as a football team. But there's, I love that football team in that locker room. Period. Questions?
Matt, go ahead and come.
Coach, you kind of talked about this, but with the performance of some of your younger players like T1, Mullen, Michael Penix, that kind of give you a sense of kind of validation for what you've been building here over the past couple of years?
No question. We're for real. We ain't going nowhere. We're young. Third youngest team in the Big Ten, period. And you just saw how we competed. We didn't show up just to compete. We came to win. And we were one play away from winning. So, yeah, I'm proud of this team. Proud of how we recruited. That ain't going to stop. Proud of what we're building and the way we're building it. Just disappointed.
Coach Tom Allen talking after the game. We'll hear more of that later in the show, but very disappointing, obviously. You say one play away. There was one play here or one play there that obviously could have changed the game. Special teams, disappointing. Oh, man. Big penalties, mistakes. The end of the second half, or the first half, they kind of mismanaged the clock, to be honest with you, I think, a little bit. But defensively, they also couldn't get out of there without allowing a touchdown. Just poor coverage, poor play. They've got to get that together, but Mike Penix, superb job. And I'm telling you, after the game, you can just tell the confidence in this dude, man. He is just continuing to grow and mature. There's a lot of youth on this team, but you can't tell it sometimes between some of these guys that are stepping up like Mike Penix. Let's hear what Mike had to say after the game.
Mike, can you talk a little bit about what it took for you to be able to be ready to play this week and what you thought about how you felt out there physically as the game went on?
It just took a lot of trusting and everything that, just my rehab and just make sure my body was good, just protecting myself, just a lot of encouragement from my teammates as well. So it was just a lot of both of those things. Those were real big factors.
With all the turmoil that happened to the line, with Coy Crunk going down, there's some talk about the line, but you ended up 20 consecutive passes, setting a record. You got into a great rhythm. What led to that?
Right. Yeah. We didn't get the win, but it's just Matt Bedford. He had to step up. He was a true freshman. He did real good. And the offensive line, they helped him. They all communicated with each other. And coach just put us in the right situation to make sure we're all in the right spots at the right time and knew what we were doing.
What allowed you to find that rhythm again, 20 in a row in particular there?
Like I said, just coach putting us in the right situation. Play calls. And just the receivers getting open, and just catch and throw. That's all we preach, just catch and throw. We're out there, just playing our hearts out, just protecting each other, making sure we're all on the same page.
Coach Allen said you didn't practice every day this week, and obviously you hadn't played 2 games. So, how did you get yourself prepared to be able to come out and play the way you did?
I didn't practice every day, but, pre-game, I felt pretty good. So coach made the decision to let me play, and I prepared, just keeping my head in the game, just make sure I knew all the plays, knew all the reads. All the times I wasn't in practice, I was mentally prepared and make sure I was always on top of the game.
Mike, you did get hit a few times today. How'd the shoulder and everything feel from getting hit out there and being able to bounce back from it?
Well, I got hit, but everything felt great. I need it sometimes, but it wasn't anything major. Offensive line held up a lot. It made a lot of great plays, and we executed a lot of things, but we didn't come out with the win. That's what we really wanted to do.
No, you wanted the win, but what did you guys show to a lot of people when you play a team like that on the road and come that close?
We definitely show that. Like, just don't doubt us. We're pushing every single day, making sure everybody knows everything they're doing, just executing as a team. We never let ourselves get down. We always make sure we keep each other up and just make sure that we stay positive throughout the whole process.
There was quarterback Michael Penix talking about after the loss there at Michigan State. Fortunately for Indiana, coming up next, I think they have Rutgers also on their schedule, Maryland, Nebraska. Those 3 teams that were the last, Joker sent in a text, pointed out that those were the last 3 teams to join the Big Ten, and they were outscored 159-7 last week. So that bodes well for Indiana. OSU is the beast of the East. They will walk through the Big Ten. Joker, I agree with you. But that makes that loss to Ohio State not look quite as bad as Ohio State pummeled Nebraska over the weekend as well. Ohio State is just a juggernaut. No doubt about that. Tim texted in, going to nickname Michael Penix the Iceman. He's cool under pressure, an assassin. Definitely, absolutely. He has ice in his veins, no doubt. Hey, we got a lot more coming up on the show, a lot more from IU football. We'll hear from Stevie Scott, Whop Fillier, Tywan Mullen as well. But coming up next, Don Fischer, the voice of the Hoosiers. He'll be followed by Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier after that. Stay tuned. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is A.J. Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Cole.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat. Of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios here on this Monday, last day of September. Ready to get your week started with the great Don Fischer, the voice of the Hoosiers. Don, how are you, sir?
Doing well. How about yourself, Jim?
I can't complain. A great weekend, almost a great football game by Indiana. It was a great football game, to be honest with you. I remember I saw Don early before the game. I said, "Are you ready to call an upset?" And just kind of threw it out there. I thought I was going to have to chase you down because that daggone near happened.
Well, it was an interesting ball game, no question about that. And it was a game that Indiana certainly had a chance to win. It was very competitive. It was back and forth, and you like to see that. And there's no doubt that this Indiana football team played pretty well considering some of the circumstances they were dealing with. You have a redshirt freshman quarterback who's coming back after 2 weeks out with an injury, hasn't really thrown the ball that much, and certainly it wasn't real spectacular in practice this week with his throwing and his accuracy. And then he comes into this ball game and just plays spectacularly well, which is I guess you could call him a gamer, to say the least, because he did play extremely good football and threw the ball incredibly well in this contest. It completes 33 of 42 passes, no interceptions, 3 touchdowns, 286 yards in the passing game. But as much as Michael Penix deserves credit for this performance in this contest, I give just as much credit, if not more, to the game plan that was set up by Kalen DeBoer, the offensive coordinator. I thought his game plan was absolutely spectacular considering what Indiana was dealing with against that Michigan State defense and how Indiana would have to play it to be successful in it. They ran the ball just enough, and with enough success in this contest. I give Stevie Scott some credit for running really hard in this ball game. He gained just 66 net yards, but he ran 18 times, and when he did run, he was running with some power and running through tackles and things like that. So you give that portion of the run game some credit there. And, of course, you're working with an offensive line that has a true freshman in Matthew Bedford, who'd never started a game before, had played very sparingly up to this point in the season at left tackle in place of Coy Cronk, who's out for the year. And I thought Matthew Bedford played decently. I don't think he was great, but he would learn. He's thrown into the fire. He's 6'6" and 310 pounds, and he's a guy that really hasn't learned the offensive system completely yet. And the offensive line is probably technically one of the most difficult positions on the field to learn. And so very few true freshmen step in there and do that and are mature enough to do it. And I thought Bedford got better as the game went on and accounted for himself pretty well in this contest. So from that standpoint, there were all positives from my perspective, but from the defensive side, not so much. And I say that because we still have not seen this defense play to the expectations we thought they were going to be at the beginning of the year. Would you agree with that?
Oh, absolutely. That's been the difference between Indiana possibly winning that game this weekend.
Well, I don't think there's any question that it was, and I think the big problem has been where we thought they were going to be the strongest. Certainly, from the depth standpoint, we thought they were going to be the strongest, and that would be in the defensive backfield. And we have seen several quarterbacks now take advantage of Indiana, especially in this situation late in the first half and late in the second half, where they were allowed to just drive down the field with their passing attack for the most part and take advantage of Indiana's defensive backfield. Now, the one guy that I will stand here and say all day long played the best of anybody on the ball club defensively was a kid named Tywan Mullen, who's a true freshman. And when he was on their best receiver, Darryl Stewart didn't do anything. This kid had 4 pass breakups in this ball game. And this is a true freshman now playing against one of the best receivers, if not the best receiver in the Big Ten, in Darryl Stewart. And this kid did a tremendous job on him when he was assigned to him. And unfortunately, he wasn't assigned to him the entire day because they moved Stewart around to the other side of the ball where somebody else had to be the defensive player on him. And when that happened, Stewart was successful and Lewerke was successful going to him. When Tywan Mullen was on this guy, he had basically no success whatsoever. So that tells me that we've got a special player in Tywan Mullen, this freshman. And obviously we've known he's very talented. The coaching staff has raved about him in practice, but he showed himself big time in this football game.
Absolutely, Don. He sure did. I mean, when every time you saw a play that was happening in the defensive backfield, you look up and it's number 3. What an outstanding job for a true freshman to go on the road into a place like Michigan State. 70,000 people there. It was a great environment, but to perform like that, and not just Taiwan, but we're talking about him right now because he was certainly the shining star on that defense without doubt.
Yep, and obviously that just brings up the point even further about why this defensive backfield hasn't performed up to expectations. And I can't answer that question, but obviously it's going to be asked, and there's going to have to be some things done here in this break here with the bye week coming up this Saturday, where Indiana gets a little extra practice time and a chance to maybe fix some of these problems that they're having in the defensive backfield, because I don't think there's any doubt right now that is the biggest problem. You allow a team to go down the field with the passing attack in the final 30 seconds or in the final minute of the first half and basically score in 33 seconds to take the lead after Indiana tied the ball game at 14. And now they're back on top, and they have a little momentum going to the locker room, which you had on your side prior to that touchdown being scored. And then in the second half and late in the ball game, the same thing happens again. They're allowed to go down the field, or they take it down the field fairly quickly and score a touchdown after you've taken the lead from them, 28-24, and they come right back and score quickly and just take all that momentum that you've just picked up and all that energy, and it just kind of deflates you a little bit. And, of course, then they come back down and drive it again very quickly at the end of the ball game and get it down there in position for a field goal to win it. So, honestly, that's disappointing for this defense. This defense has simply not performed to the level that we thought that they could at the outset of the season, and I think it's all at this juncture, 5 games in, it's been the most disappointing aspect of this football team.
Absolutely, and there's definitely going to be questions asked and need to be answered, like you said. On the other side of the ball, offensively, there are a lot of questions about this offensive line with the patchwork you talk about, Matt Bedford earlier, with Indiana losing Coy Crunk, and my gosh, they gave up 1 sack this weekend, and they did, as far as running-wise, Graham Couch, a reporter from the Lansing Free Journal, he was in the postgame with us and asked Stevie Scott, he said, I saw you all do what I haven't seen done to Michigan State in a calendar year. How did you do it? So to have that's basically a compliment to a line that was patched together in a running game that had been non-existent before this, but they did a pretty daggone good job.
Well, you're right. I mean, they did. And again, I give most of the credit for that to Kalen DeBoer, the offensive coordinator, because I just think what he designed for this team, and most of Penix's passes were quick, get it out of your hand quickly into a receiver, trying to find a receiver that was open. And I thought the receivers did a nice job in this game. Obviously, Whop Billier had a terrific performance. Donovan Hale was just as spectacular in the contest. those two guys were really, really important in this ball game. And there's no doubt. I think Kalen DeBoer has just been spectacular with what he has done, considering what Indiana's challenges are on the offensive side of the football. And I give him a lot of the credit for the success that this ball club had. The good news is that they look like they're a really good pass-blocking type offensive line. The run blocking is still very much up in the air, but it was a better performance in that area against a stout defensive group. And so that pleases me as well, and I think it's something to look forward to.
Yeah, the second half, when Indiana came out, they started the second half with the ball. The time of possession for the third quarter was 13 minutes to 155. Indiana had it for 13 minutes of that quarter. That's an absolute domination, but it's also a team that is making very few mistakes, because you can't make very many mistakes and sustain drives like that.
No, and against the defense that Michigan State has. I do think the defense for Michigan State is terrific, especially against the run game. But against the passing attack that Indiana employed in this ball game, I think that they were exposed a little bit, and that may prove deferential to them as the season goes on, because I thought Indiana was able to take advantage of some things in that regard. That said, I loved what I saw from this football team for the most part throughout the ball game. The one thing I did not like, and I'm going to say this, and I know it upsets people because you're disparaging the ball club. No, I'm not. I'm pointing something out here that I think has got to be fixed, and it's happened over the years many, many times with this football team and this program. You've got to be mature in a ball game and know where you're at and what you're doing and concentrating and focusing on the right things. And to me, one of the problems showed itself on Saturday that's been a big issue with this football team, not just this year, last year, or under Kevin Wilson or under any other coach. It's been a problem for a long time. Guys do not understand the game's not over with just because you took the lead or just because you just scored a touchdown and now you've got yourself in a position where you could pick up a win. That's not the end in sight. You have got to stay focused, and we saw this ball club take the lead at 28-24 late in the ball game. And what happened? We had like 10 or 11 or 12 guys out there dancing around, acting the clown or acting like, we got this game now where we're going to win this contest, blah, blah, blah. And then they come back out, and they've lost that momentum or that energy or that focus. I think it's more focus and concentration than anything else. You can't celebrate until the game ends and you've won it. Don't do that. Yes, you can pat each other on the back after you score a touchdown, get off the field, and be smart about it and get ready for the next play, because the game has not ended. And that's a really good football team you're facing, and they can take advantage of you if you're not doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing. And I think Indiana gets ahead of itself, and I thought Saturday was a perfect example.
Exactly. Just couldn't stand prosperity, but the focus has been a little bit problematic for that defense.
It's not just the defense. I mean, it's just not. That's the whole thing right there. It's just not the defense. It's the team, and that's a whole team issue. And they've got to get a handle on that. I think that's all coaches need to understand. I think coaches do understand that. It's just a matter of how you go about instituting it into the thinking process of the players. And again, I know that it sounds like a real negative criticism, and it is. But at the same time, it's one that's trying to help rather than hurt.
Constructive.
And I think this team has that issue. Exactly.
Constructive. Yeah, and it is a young team. There is some immaturity. And actually, we talked about that earlier in the season with Coach Allen. There is some immaturity. Some of the penalties we saw early on because of the immaturity. And you're right. All that goes together. And until you have that package, you're not going to win those kinds of games that you're in.
Not against the good teams. There's no question. It's a big issue, in my opinion. And it's an ongoing problem, and I think the only thing that can change that is the coaching staff just making an emphasis. Get the heck off the football field and understand that you can celebrate for about 3 seconds, and then it's over with, and you've got to concentrate on the next play and the next situation because you're playing really good football teams in this league, and it's never going to change, and you've got to be focused, and you've got to be mentally into this ball game in the right frame of mind, or you're not going to win it. And Indiana's seen that happen many, many times over the years.
Absolutely. You have a break from football this week as Indiana has a bye, but Hoosier Hysteria is going to happen on Saturday out at the Simon Scott Assembly Hall. A lot of basketball going on, a lot of activities happening.
Yep, media day for the basketball team is Wednesday. Of course, the first official day of practice is today. So there's lots of going on with the basketball program this week, so we'll take a little break from football and take a look at what basketball's doing next week on Monday when we talk to you. And obviously it's going to be interesting to say the least. This is a program that right now had all kinds of problems last year. They bring in three new faces this season. They've lost a key player or two from last year's ball club. They've got some work to do, but they've also got, I think, the chance to turn things around maybe in a dramatic fashion this year if they play up to expectations.
We certainly hope so, Don. I certainly love having you on each and every week. Thank you so much. Look forward to doing it again on Monday.
All right, Jim. Thank you.
Thank you as well. Have a great week. The great Don Fischer with us, the voice of the Hoosiers. We'll be back with more Indiana Sports Beat from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios with Mike Schumann next, right after this.
Pick it up. Take me back home.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Today's guest is brought to you by Bubba's 33 in Clarksville with hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer. Pizza, burgers, beer. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this Monday, September 30th from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios, of course. Big weekend coming up for Indiana. We'll talk about that in a moment as Hoosier Hysteria is on its way. Mike Schumann from the Daily Hoosier joins me now. Mike, how are you?
Doing great, Tim. How are you?
Still getting past that ball game over the weekend, man. Indiana with another tough loss on the road against number 25 Michigan State. Golly, you just hate to see those close ones when you know that they could have easily won that game with just a better play here on defense here and there.
Yeah, and I don't know about you, but I didn't see that performance coming at all. I will readily admit that. I didn't think Indiana was going to be able to go up there and score points and really hang around in that game. So I was impressed in a lot of ways with the way they played. But, as you open there, it's just another disappointing loss. So it's very much mixed emotions coming out of that game.
Yeah, it's what I expected to see, but I expected to see it before. So with what we saw previously, yeah, I agree. That was kind of a surprise, but this is what I had expected early on. But because of the injury to Mike Penix, the offensive line's woes, it kind of hadn't gotten there. But so it's even more of a surprise for it to come together on the road in an environment like that, where you have Matt Bedford having to step in, and they gave up one sack on the day, man. And they threw the ball 42 times. They gave up one sack. That's pretty daggone good coverage.
Yeah, I mean, I know Coach Allen spoke about Bedford after the game. I mean, that was one of the reasons why I was really questioning what they could go up there and do, because you lose a captain, a 4-year starter at left tackle. Probably no more important position on the offense than your left tackle. And when it's a guy like Coy Cronk, even more significant. And for a true freshman to step in there and really, the key is we never really heard Bedford's name during the game, which is exactly what you wanted, what he wanted. He was solid the whole game. Obviously a lot of that had to do with Indiana throwing a lot of short passes, but nevertheless, at the college level, sometimes, there's not even enough time for that because of a talent discrepancy. But he was solid the whole game, and Indiana ran the ball well too. I mean, Stevie Scott, I believe, had 66 yards, which doesn't, blow you away, but compared to what they've been doing in this case against the number 3 rush defense in the country, I thought, they ran the ball very effectively. And it speaks to something that, we've been talking about here for over a year now, is when you have a quarterback that really opens up the field and defenses have to respect the deep ball, all of a sudden those little, 1-2 yard runs turn into 4 or 5 yard runs.
Yeah, the biggest issue, one of the biggest issues was penalties, and those penalties came either on defense or special teams. Special teams really hurt Indiana again this week. They had a great run back by Whop Philyor, only to have that negated by penalties. Also defensively, they had some penalties, but it was some blown coverage defensively. My gosh, they gave up 74 yards on 2 plays on that final drive to Michigan State, one of which, the big one, was a 44-yard pass play where the defender would be better off just tackling the receiver because it's only a 15-yard penalty in college.
Right. Yeah, no doubt about that. And I think both of those big plays on that final drive highlight, how you kind of live and die with Tom Allen and Kane Womack's defense. It's a very much a high pressure, they're always looking to get penetration and pressure the quarterback. But if that fails, you're on the backside, you're in a lot of one-on-one situations, or when a quarterback decides to break the contain there and get out and run, there's a lot of openings because, you got one-on-ones down the field. And obviously teams know that. So if you can't get the pressure home in time and you can't disrupt the play, you can leave yourself susceptible in the back end. And that's exactly what happened on both of those plays. And it was, obviously unfortunate to see such a quick turn of events there for Michigan State to get the ball all the way down to the 1 yard line with, just in a couple quick plays like that.
Well, Kane Womack's going to have questions to answer today. I mean, I think everybody saw the video that went viral. I think the end of the half, Tom Allen just extremely unpleased with the defense, obviously, and he let Kane Womack know about that. A number to look at, time of possession. Indiana possessed the ball 34 minutes compared to 25 for Michigan State, but obviously Michigan State did a lot more with it when they had the ball because they got much bigger chunk plays. In the third quarter alone, Indiana kept the ball for 13 of the 15 minutes of that quarter. That's outstanding. That's how you win ball games normally. You're keeping their defense off the field, although you're letting them rest. But Indiana did an unbelievable job. They scored 31 points on a defense that most people did not give Indiana a chance at. For one thing, it should give Indiana fans a lot to look forward to because as Joker pointed out earlier in a text to the show, 3 of the teams on Indiana's schedule, Rutgers, Maryland, and Northwestern, that are coming up, have been outscored like 159-7 this past weekend. So that's something for Indiana can look forward to.
Yeah, there's no doubt that, and this is something I just wrote about last night, is, when you think about that game, you think about the way Michael Penix played, not only for the rest of this year, but for the next 3.5 years, you got to feel really good about Indiana being in just about every game they're going to play. I mean, the Ohio State game, obviously Penix didn't play, but even that took on a completely different look after this weekend with the way they completely dismantled Nebraska at Nebraska. I mean, who saw that score coming? And so you think about, okay, with Penix in the game, going up to East Lansing and competing, I think the rest of the way on the schedule, Indiana should be, at least viewed as competitive in every one of these games. Probably the toughest couple games remaining are at home against Michigan, who for the most part hasn't looked that great, and then out on the road at Penn State, another team that this weekend just blew my mind with the way they played. I don't remember the final, but they beat Maryland something along the lines of 52-0. So, those are the tough ones, but, as long as Penix is doing what he's doing, I think Indiana's going to, be able to compete with a lot of teams. And, maybe if they can get the defense turned around, the strength of this team going into the season was the secondary. And unfortunately, that's the unit that let them down up in East Lansing. So if they can get that turned around and make some of these plays like have a punt return that doesn't have a penalty, or have a Bryant Fitzgerald actually catch a clear pick six to open the game. Tom Allen's saying that it's one play away, but he's actually right. It is. And so we'll see down the road if they can make that one play. But I think as long as Penix plays at the level that he played on Saturday, I think they're going to be in all these games.
Yeah, Tywan Mullen in the secondary has got to be pointed out, having a terrific game. My gosh, he had 4 knockdowns. He talked to Don Fischer about it earlier. Michigan State's number 1 receiver, who leads the Big Ten in receiving, was shut down while he was being guarded by Tywan Mullen. He made his bones on the other secondary, and I think there's some issues in the secondary. I don't want to call them out, but I mean, I rewatched the game and I'm like, dude, guys are just getting beat bad, like they stole something. It's just not close. So there was so much talk about this secondary, like you said, being the leader of that side of the ball, and they're not getting it done. And again, that goes back to the scheme as well. I'm not sure that they're in the right plays all the time because they get beat so easily sometimes.
Yeah, Mullen was fantastic, and that guy you alluded to that he was guarding, I believe, is a 5th-year senior that had probably 30 pounds on Mullen, and just his speed and athleticism just stood out. He was able to, even if there was a little bit of separation by the time the ball was in the air, he was able to make up that ground and get his arm in there. His technique was solid. I mean, I think, you talk about Penix and Bedford and Mullen, you see the difference that recruiting makes when you're talking about freshmen in these caliber games making the plays that they did. I think, if they can keep recruiting at the level that they have here in the last couple of years, I think you can see how Indiana may be able to finally bridge some gaps and win some big games for a change that they haven't been able to do. And it does come down to guys making plays. And I think, as far as the secondary goes, I'll go back to what I said. I mean, I think, they're leaving guys on an island. And so I think it does come down as much to guys up front getting home as it relates to on the back end. But I think if you told me going into the game that Indiana was going to put up 31 points, I would have said, man, they're going to be right there, because I wouldn't have expected the defense to give up too much more than that. But it was right on that margin of, just not quite enough. And we've seen that story just way too many times at this point.
Yeah, well, we'll see what happens going forward. I think at every game on Indiana's schedule, minus maybe Penn State, is actually a very winnable game. I think they can win at Nebraska. I really do. I think by then they should really be rolling. Hopefully they can have their defensive woes fixed by then. Obviously, Nebraska will be better as well, but I think Indiana is better than people think, and I think that they showed that offensively this week with the very little experience that Michael Penix has had. He looked pretty damn comfortable in that offense, and I think that's only going to get better. They've got to get the defense shored up, but I think Michigan is a winnable game at home. They've taken them to overtime the last two times the Wolverines visit. I think this is going to be no different, that Indiana is going to be fighting, and I think that they can win that game as well, but we'll certainly see. Also switching sides now, a lot of talk basketball coming up this week, Mike. Hoosier Hysteria is Saturday. There was a visit this weekend by Hassan Diarra. Have you heard anything about that?
Nothing definitive. I'm still trying to get in touch with the right people there. So I think based on a Rivals article that was published over the weekend, it was speculated that he was down to a final three of Indiana, Georgia, and Texas A&M. That seemed to confirm that. So I think this is one that's definitely coming down to the wire. He has an official visit scheduled here in a couple weeks at Texas A&M. He went to Georgia a couple weeks ago. So I think those will be his 3 visits, and he'll be deciding here soon. I think it's definitely, to me, watching him play, he fits the mold of what Archie's trying to do in terms of a physical, tough, hardworking, kind of guy. He's a point guard, but he's really a combo. I did speak to his high school coach on Friday, and he said he's really a combo that can come in and play kind of either position early on in his career, but he believed that, ultimately he'll be able to be a point guard at the high major levels, probably a 4-year guy. His strengths right now are more, finishing at the rim versus his perimeter shot, but he's becoming a better perimeter shooter. I think, you think about that class with Galloway and Leal and Geronimo. I think he fits right in with those kind of guys that is, maybe can find a niche way to contribute early on in his career, but by the time he's an upperclassman, is going to be a beast. And so I think if that's the direction Archie's going, a guy like Diarra would fit really well.
As badly as Archie covets and wants and needs a backup point guard, why did Nigel Pack not get an offer in your estimation?
Yeah, I think they just waited too long. I don't know what the communication was. I don't know if it's you. Somebody caught him in an interview and basically he said in the spring or early summer that he hadn't been hearing much from Indiana, which was surprising to me, because he had already been on the radar for all of his junior season. And I don't know if he just was frustrated with what he was hearing from the in-state schools and decided, when he got the first high major Power 5 school that intrigued him, he went with it. His decision seemed quick. Indiana's timing seemed late. And then, he had a really good late summer where he was putting up some really big games on the Nike EYBL circuit for the Indy Heat. And, I think that just magnified the notion that IU probably missed, because, his play just kept getting better and better. He's going to be on the radar for Indiana Mr. Basketball. So I think those questions are going to persist if he has a really strong senior season.
Yeah, it's pretty embarrassing when you got a guy in your backyard playing a position that you desperately need, have been trying to fill for 2 seasons, and you don't maintain communication. You don't offer him. That's a little perturbing. I don't get it, to be honest with you. I just don't get it.
Yeah, and you obviously can't get them all, but I agree with your sentiment there. I mean, when it's a position that you're clearly laser focused on down the stretch here, I think they just waited too long. And interestingly enough, I think his teammate up here at Lawrence Central is another guy that may ultimately be viewed as a miss. DeAndre Davis, who's going to Nebraska, is probably, if there's 5 guys running for Mr. Basketball as seniors next year. Pack and Davis are in that mix as 2 of the 5, and I think he's another guy that's been rising late here, and I kind of thought maybe when the coaching change happened at Nebraska that he might open things back up again, but that didn't happen. So those will be. There's always in recruiting, there's always interesting names to watch as they transition from high school to college, and the underlying stories of their recruitment. Those are clearly going to be 2 guys that are, their stories are going to be interesting to monitor.
Tim's also asking about Logan Duncombe and in the 2021 class. Big guy. Can he be the next Cody Zeller?
I wouldn't want to put that on him. He was also in Bloomington this weekend. People probably saw on Twitter and Instagram, he put out the customary photos in an Indiana jersey. Nothing to look into there as far as I understand. Kids just like to do that. Understandably, it's fun for them to put on the jersey and publicize their visit a little bit. I think based on what I've read, he's from Cincinnati. He's got interest across the Big Ten. I believe his parents may have gone to Iowa, so some people are saying that that's the front runner there. But I definitely wouldn't want to put on anyone that they're going to be of the caliber of Cody Zeller. I mean, you're talking All-American, NBA lottery pick after 2 years of college. So, but I think he is a kid that can be a really good college player, and really, he's a really good rebounder, really hustles, definitely would be a valuable addition to any Big Ten school.
Yeah, I saw Christian Lander wearing the University of Louisville jerseys over the weekend for a visit that he had. And speaking of Christian Lander, he will be coming to Bloomington next Saturday, along with Trey Galloway and Anthony Leal. Any other news on who else is coming to Hoosier Hysteria yet?
I've heard those 3 guys. I've heard rumors of Trey Kaufman, who's out of Silver Creek in the southern Indiana, Louisville area down there. Those are the names I've heard. There could be some kind of less high-profile names in the younger classes that are going to be there as well. Still trying to track down who those names are, but I'm sure there will be a pretty good showing. And I think it's definitely important to note on the Christian Lander front that his 2 Indiana elite AAU teammates, Galloway and Leal, as you alluded to, are going to be there. I think that, from what I've heard, they've become pretty good friends. And the fact that obviously Leal and Galloway are committed to Indiana in the class of 2020, and then they have their friend and teammate on site for a very important visit, I think can do nothing but help the cause. And those guys are obviously going to be pushing and selling hard while Lander's on campus this weekend.
Of course, the big question is, where does Indiana sit with Dawson Garcia? Nobody knows that, of course, but that's the guy that's on everybody's mind, because I banged this drum for the last month, but Archie desperately needs to land a big man in this class as well. Not only, I know he's been trying to get a point guard, but he desperately needs a big guy. I don't care what anybody says, because I'm looking down the road and I know how it's going to break out. And so Dawson Garcia seems to be their last gasp on landing one there.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, if you gave me a choice and said you could only land one of these point guards or Garcia, I think I'd clearly pick Garcia for the reasons we've talked about, that they're going to have openings. They're going to be thin up front. And not only that, but Garcia is a guy that can really stretch the floor, unlike some of these other bigs that they've got right now. So even in the short term, I think he's a major addition. He took official visit to Minnesota this weekend. It just came out on Twitter that he's going to take an official visit to Memphis next weekend. Everybody seems to think that the Indiana visit's coming, but we haven't heard anything definitive on that. But I think, the good news in his recruitment, at least in my opinion, is that, I think one of the clear top schools was going to be North Carolina. They have got 2 guys in that class that they've committed over the last week or 2 weeks that are kind of mirrors of him, bigs that can run the floor and play on the perimeter. So, I think North Carolina is probably going to back off and create a really nice opening for IU to hopefully close that deal.
And Kansas took theirself out of the deal. Oh, no pun intended.
There's another one. They didn't officially take themselves out, but the NCAA gave an assist there for sure.
Yes, I'm going to use it. Kansas takes their self out of the game with that.
No pun intended.
Yeah, no pun. Did you see the promo that Kansas made with Bill Self wearing the big fat gold chain, doing the kind of hip hop deal with the big Adidas shirt on?
I did not. It sounds like they're kind of sticking it in the eye of the NCAA, huh?
Yes, it's a Kansas promo that they made, video. And Bill Self is in like an old record store going through some hip hop records with a big fat gold chain on over an Adidas T-shirt.
Going out swinging, it sounds like.
They've almost dared him the whole time. Soon after the news broke of the FBI stuff, if you recall, they signed the big fat new contract with Adidas.
Yeah, I mean, whatever happens in that case, it's going to certainly set some precedents and change things going forward, because I don't know how the rules should work when you're talking about how much schools should be responsible for what shoe guys are doing, but it's definitely going to be groundbreaking and definitely change the direction of how all this stuff works.
We'll see, man. Mike, appreciate you. We'll see. We'll do it again next week, but we'll see you at Hoosier Hysteria this weekend. All
right, Jim. Looking forward to it.
Thanks a lot. Mike Schumann from thedailyhoosier.com. You can check him out there, as well as here on Indiana Sports Beat, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios. That's going to wrap it up for us. We appreciate you joining us. For those of you sticking around, we'll be back with more. If not, I'll see you on the radio.
I was walking down the street when out the corner of my eye I saw a pretty little thing approaching me. She said, I never seen a man who looks so all alone.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
Hey, this is Jordan Halls, former Indiana Hoosier. Keep up with Indiana sports on Indiana Sports Beat.
Well, we're coming
Well, come on along and welcome on board to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, of course, coming to you from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios on Monday, September 30th. Last Monday of September, man. We're almost in October. Lots to talk about today. Indiana football, of course, a tough loss at number 25, Michigan State over the weekend. We'll talk about that. We'll hear from Tom Allen. We'll hear from Mike Penix, Stevie Scott, Walt Phillier, Taiwan Mullen. We have a reboot from Nick Baumgart. We talked to him previously. So a lot to finish up with today. Man, what a disappointment that was over the weekend. Up there in Indiana, offensively looked spectacular. He put 31 points on a defense that has just not accustomed to giving that up. Mike Penix back after a 2-game layoff for injury. And, man, did he look great, 33 of 42. He almost set a Big Ten record at 20 straight completions. The pass that ended that streak wasn't dropped or missed. It was Ty Freifogel couldn't get his foot in bounds for a touchdown. The very next pass, he hits Donovan Hale on a one-handed grab for a touchdown. So the touch is there. Barely missed on some long balls, man. Oh, man. There was one that Walt Phillier was just out of his reach that would have been an 89-yard touchdown. Unfortunately for Indiana, defensively, they just could not get the job done. They didn't do a horrible job, but they gave up way too many yards rushing on big plays. Way too many yards passing on big plays. After the game, we spoke with Michael Penix, the quarterback who had an outstanding game. Let's hear what Michael had to say.
Mike, can you talk a little bit about what it took for you to be able to be ready to play this week and what you thought about how you felt out there physically as the game went on?
It just took a lot of trusting and everything that, just my rehab and just make sure my body was good, just protecting myself, just a lot of encouragement from my teammates as well. So it was just a lot of both of those things. Those were real big factors.
With all the turmoil that happened to the line, Coy Crunk going down, there's some talk about the line, but you ended up 20 consecutive passes, setting a record. You got into a great rhythm. What led to that?
Right. Yeah. We didn't get the win, but it's just Matt Bedford. He had to step up. A true freshman. He did real good. The offensive line, they helped him. They all communicated with each other. And coach just put us in the right situation to make sure we're all in the right spots at the right time and knew what we were doing.
What allowed you to find that rhythm again, 20 in a row in particular there?
Like I said, just coach putting us in the right situation. Play calls. And just the receivers getting open, and just catch and throw. That's all we preach, just catch and throw. We're out there, just playing our hearts out, just protecting each other, making sure we're all on the same page.
Coach Allen said you didn't practice every day this week, and obviously you hadn't played 2 games. So, how did you get yourself prepared to be able to come out and play the way you did?
I didn't practice every day, but, pregame, I felt pretty good. So coach made the decision to let me play, and I prepared just keeping my head in the game, just make sure I knew all the plays, knew all the reads. All the times I wasn't in practice, I was mentally prepared and make sure I was always on top of the game.
There was quarterback Michael Penix. Also after the game, we got to speak with Stevie Scott, who had a better than expected showing for the Hoosiers on the running game. He rushed for nearly 4 yards a carry against a defense that had shut everybody else down.
Stevie, can you talk a little bit about what it was like to try to run against that defense and with the success you guys had to at least get some chunks and keep the ball moving?
Well, it was very fun running against the defense. I should say, we were definitely having a war between the O-line and D-line. So, just going out there and be able to, showcase our run skills and our run offense was, pretty good because, they had a good defense. So being able to just run against them and, move the ball and just show the world, they're easy, not easy, but I should say, you can move the ball on them and run the game, run the ball too also.
Indiana had a lot more success running the ball against Michigan State than anybody else has this season. What did you guys see and what did you do to have that success today?
Well, we all know our potential and our ability, so we just definitely locked in this whole week of football. Whole week of practice, and we just look forward to this game and just keep moving forward and just make plays.
Some said there were a lot of tears in that locker room. What did you guys talk about after this game?
Just to stay positive and just it's a long season and just keep playing to our our full ability and just play our hearts out. It's a long season, like I said, and it just shows the world that we can compete and we're this close to finishing these these games like this, especially on the road.
And then, of course, Whop Villier. What a big day Whop had. Led all receivers with 14 receptions, 142 yards. This is the second year in a row that he's had over 100 yards against Michigan State.
There's a lot of youth on this team, but you're not one of those guys. You've been around for a while. What's it mean to see this team come in here and play like this? It's not the result that you wanted, but obviously a tough loss. But you guys are improving week to week.
It means a lot to us that we know we can play with teams like this in the Big Ten. It hurts a lot because we felt like we could win this game, like win games like this. So it just hurts a lot. We got to, it's only up from here, so just got to,
Over 100 yards against Michigan State for the second straight year. What seems to happen when we're able to rise to the occasion against them?
I'm just playing with my boys. I'm just trying to play every play for them. But it really don't mean nothing unless it's a win out there. So I'm just doing what my coach say, go out there and play football.
Obviously, there was the big punt return that you had that got called back. What was your view of the play?
I saw my guys making plays out there, so I just played off what they were doing.
You think that play getting called back changed the game at all?
We had to, I don't think it changed the game at all. We just got to play football, just go out there and play. Every play like it's our last.
Michael set a record for 20 straight completions. What was it like out there during that stretch?
Mike?
Yeah, for the offense.
It was good, having Mike out there today. He's a great player for us. We're gonna need him out for the last few games. So it was good having him out there. That's my guy too. So I was happy that he was out there playing, doing what he does best, throwing footballs.
There's Whop Villier. On the defensive side, Tywan Mullen, a true freshman, had an unbelievable game in the secondary. The only guy in the secondary that really had a great game. There were some big holes on the other side of that. But when Tywan was in, when he was guarding somebody, he shut him down. Had 4 knockdowns in the game. Blanket coverage on the Big Ten's best receiver, a fifth-year senior. What a great day for him. Let's hear from Tywan.
Now, I'll talk about the youth on this team, the performance you guys had today. I mean, I know there are no moral victories, but to come in here and on the road, a ranked team, a team that they not invincible, but obviously have been playing very well. What does that say about you guys?
Well, we play for each other. That's why I preach about LEO, love each other. We play for each other, we trust each other, trust the offense, trust special teams, defense, and we just come here and play with trust, believe in one another.
You had a lot of knockdowns today. You were involved in a lot of plays. I mean, you were hardly involved in that. What was it about today that you were so elevated?
Well, my preparation. The more you prepare, the more confidence you get in practice. The game days is Monday through Thursday, Monday through Friday. Saturday is just fun day. The more you practice throughout the week, the more you'll enjoy the game on Saturday.
And an extra week, is this team just getting that much better week after week?
Yes, sir. We're showing everybody we're going to improve each week. We play for each other. The bye week going to help us, get back in the front room.
There was Tywan Mullen, a true freshman defensive back for Indiana. Text in from Tim. Do you think the game plan was set up for Ramsey with all those short sideline passes, and with the game time change to Penix, it was too late to change? Maybe it was adjusted during the game with some of those deep balls. No, that was a game plan set up for Michigan State and Michigan State's defensive abilities. It was a game plan that actually worked perfectly. Michael Penix executed greatly, mixed in some deep balls, and some of which were just barely missed. There was some that were hit. 28-yarders to Whop Villier, 28-yarder to Donovan Hale. I mean, you had Donovan Hale had 99 yards receiving, so it was a great game plan. They just missed on a couple shots, and had those been hit, it would have changed the game as well. But an absolute great game plan offensively. Indiana's just they've got some things to fix on the defensive side. Ryan from Whitmore Lake, Michigan texted in. Obviously, I wanted the W, but I was super pleased with how you played football on Saturday. Absolutely. They just got to get some things shored up on the other side of the ball, man. Offensively, Indiana's going to be scary. I said that early on. It didn't look that way when Michael Penix went down. We were a little worried, but, man, when he's back in there, they can play with anybody. Hey, we got a lot more coming up here on the program. Going to hear from Nick Baumgart next. And then Tom Allen will hear his complete press conference, post-game press conference as well. Stay tuned. More coming up for you here on Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Back with more from the Golf Club Eagle Point Studios right after this.
And if you want to say no, say no. 'Cause there's a million ways to go. You know that there are.
Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the golf club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The golf club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lord, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day. Or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
You're on the line with Jamal Meeks, former Indiana Hoosier, number 23, 1992. And I'm on the beat with Jim Coyle.
Today's guest is brought to you by Reynolds Family Dentistry of Sellersburg. You need $1 million smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you'll get with Reynolds Family Dentistry.
Well, my second friend went down when I was 21 years of age.
Welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Friday, September 27th edition. As tomorrow Indiana basketball practice gets underway, the Hoosiers will be playing football up in East Lansing. A lot going on. But from a basketball standpoint, things get underway. Unfortunately, the Todd father couldn't make it today. He's off busy making an offer someone can't refuse. But in his stead, newly anointed Indiana Rivals writer Nick Baumgart joining us now. Nick, how are you?
Hey, man, I'm good. Got the B team on today, and we're ready to go.
Congratulations on the new gig, brother.
Well, I appreciate it. I think I start Tuesday, and we'll jump right in with Big Ten Media Day on Wednesday. So, yeah, it'll be a lot of fun here. Appreciate it.
Yeah, looking forward to it. IU Media Day itself, they had that this week. The players on Tuesday, Archie Miller on Wednesday. You were there for Archie, and a lot of talk. I've been talking about it. I'm not this is not a fanboy page deal here. I kind of cut to the quick on stuff, and offensively, there was talk about them having a lot more motion in the offense this year, because last year, I'll be honest with you, I have no earthly idea what they were doing offensively. I saw a lot of standing around, a lot of missed shots, but it hurts, and no matter what you're trying to do. But break it down. What is it that Indiana tries to do offensively?
Well, last year they used a lot of two-man game. They were using a lot of two-man game for Al and for Romeo. A lot of isolations for Jawan. So whether that be off the bounce or in the post, and so you saw a lot of dribbling, not a lot of pass and cutting, and so I think you're going to see a lot more of that. Less dribbling, more ball movement, more screening. I mean, if you think back to the days of like Bob Knight, you saw 5-6 passes, for every 2 dribbles, or and it's kind of the other way around. And it's kind of a trend across college basketball, right? But I think for Indiana, I think it's just you got parts and you got pieces this year. A motion team kind of deal is going to be a lot better.
Yeah, that's with the personnel they have. We also heard a lot of talk of using 2 bigs, kind of like an older school style of lineup. There's some flexibility in that roster with that. You've got some experience. Joey Brunk, although new to the program, he's going into his 3rd season as a college basketball player. So he brings a lot to the table for this team.
Well, if you follow me on Twitter, and I know you do, Jimmy, for anybody, I went over that real heavy this week. I really, really, really like Joey Brunk. And, he only played 18 minutes a game last year at Butler. He was by far the best big between him and Nate Fowler at Butler. Defensively, I don't know as much about Fowler. So Fowler was a little more of a perimeter threat at Butler, but Brunk was the better big of the 2. And so he's going to join Deron Davis, who was quietly, he only played about 13 minutes himself, quietly one of the best big men as far as production goes in the Big Ten. You had Trace Jackson Davis and Race Thompson and Justin Smith, and I think they got the best interior in the Big Ten. And I know that surprises a lot of people for me to say that, but I do. I believe that. And so I think adding 2 big guys, I don't know. I was kind of under the impression they were going to do that anyway. You'd heard Archie say in Evansville that they were going to play a unique style. They were going to play, it was going to be different, right? So I kind of thought, well, I mean, they're going to use a lot of old school high-low, pounded inside. I mean, that's where it seems like Miller, we got a lot of our points last year anyway, but where Miller, really likes to get a lot of buckets on the 2-point end, on the 2-point variety. So it kind of surprised me when he said that the other day that, hey, we're going to go to and do a little high-low. I thought that was going to kind of be part of the plan all along. So now I guess, we're not going to see Trace Jackson Davis, Joey Brunk, and Deron Davis all on the floor at the same time, I guess. So, I don't know. Interesting.
Yeah, Deron Davis, I've always liked his game. He went through this weird sophomore slump where he couldn't hit free throws and just a lot of things. Then he had the injury issues. And he kind of lumbered through last year. You marked that he only played 13 minutes a game. A lot of that was just him trying to get back to game shape, and I don't know that he ever quite got there last year.
Right.
He looks a little leaner this year,
Right.
but if they can keep him healthy, man, I love what he brings. He's a big dude. He has a great attitude. I think he has mental toughness. He's one of the few players on that team that I saw mental toughness from. And I think he definitely has that and brings that. And I think he's going to relish being one of those senior leaders this season.
And when you put him and Brunk's numbers together, all right, and then you compare him against Jalen Smith, who is the big guy at Maryland, and a lot of people are putting Maryland in their top 10 nationally. Indiana's struggling to get in the top 10 in the Big Ten, okay? And so when you put Brunk and Davis's numbers together, you end up coming out with 13 points, 6 rebounds, and And if you put Jalen Smith, he turned in last year. He turned in like 11.5 points, 6.5 rebounds. So Indiana has got the production inside to be able to compete with the best teams in the Big Ten. And I think, I've kind of come around a little bit. I was bearish on the Hoosiers for most of the summer. I was, very down on them. And, I started really getting into the numbers here in the last 3 weeks. And I don't know, Jim. I know where you stand, and I know where I've been. I don't know. I'm optimistic.
Well, I hope that it works out for him. One of the things Justin Smith talked about on his time on the dais was that he has worked to add the 3-point shot to his offense, and that's fine if that works. But I'm like, is that the guy you need shooting 3-pointers? I know you want to draw some bigs out from underneath, but he's such an athletic guy. He's 6'8" with his 48-inch vertical leap. He should be down dominating and posterizing people, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, he's a 20% 3-point shooter his first 2 years here. He's going to have to shoot the three at an extremely high clip to be able to justify him shooting the ball anywhere else, just because he's so good everywhere else. I mean, he's great around the basket, great at the rim, great on the offensive boards. And, you take him out and you have him start shooting threes. Now you have a likelihood of missing, and one of your best rebounders is away from the basket. So, you talked about that a little bit. I struggle, taking him out and letting him shoot threes. We'll see. It's part of the deal in turning this around is that, the coaching has to be better a little bit as far as, look, you got to make Justin Smith go inside if he's not hitting threes. You can't just stay out there shooting. So, we'll see. There's going to be some tough decisions as far as that goes for Archie. And Justin Smith's part of that.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about his athletic ability because he's a specimen. I mean, the dude's got the 48-inch vertical leap. If I was 6'8" and had a 48-inch vertical leap, I would be posterizing people on the reg.
I'm with you. And, is there any precedent for him being able to turn it around? Well, I mean, we can look at Joe Hillman, right? I think Joe Hillman was a pretty bad 3-point shooter his whole career. And then he comes out and I think 88, and I think he shot 58%. He's the all-time, that's the best season ever. So I don't know. Is Justin Smith, did he pull a Joe Hillman over the summer? We'll find out. But if he's not, again, not shooting at a high clip, it's really hard to justify him, taking an attempt away from the basket because he's so good there.
Yeah, then you've got Al Durham with Archie's is tried and failed to land a point guard over the last 2 seasons. There was talk that Al Durham is going to be spending a lot more time over there, which takes him out of his position. He was one of the, he wasn't the best 3-point shooter, but one of the better 3-point shooters Indiana had behind Devontae Green last year. So you're going to have him at point some when Rob Finney is not in there.
Yeah, well, Rob's going to play 32 minutes a game, right? And Rob took, how many threes did Rob take last year, right? So it's not like when you're playing the point, you can't shoot threes. So I think Rob's going to, we're fine. That's we can get into that another time, the whole point guard recruitment thing. But, to be honest with you, Al Durham is more than capable of giving Archie 8 minutes a game at the point. And a lot's been made about his shooting, Durham's shooting. But, you got to think back to February 19th, right? Right before the Purdue game. Al Durham shooting 40.6%. And, had hurt his hand in there at some point, and shoots 26% the rest of the way. So is Al Durham a 40% 3-point shooter or a 26% shooter? It's the same thing with that you could say about Rob Finney. He was a 45% shooter until he had the concussion. So, I know it's a little off your question on the tangent thing there, but I think Indiana's going to be fine in the backcourt. With Green, Durham, they can more than give Archie 8 minutes of point guard help there. But you're not going to, if Rob finishes out, if he misses extended time again, or if he's not around, you're gonna have a tough year anyway. So, health is probably the biggest thing.
Is everybody that is picked where people are going to finish? Everybody's picking Indiana to finish 10th, 11th, worse or worse this season in the conference. Is that a reflection of the personnel, or is that more
It's
of
a reflection of the national media are a bunch of sheep, right? I'm not. They're not. They don't want to dig into the deep stuff and go real deep. I don't think they're going to win the Big Ten.
Well, of course not.
It would be hard for me to put them in the top 5.
But are they going to finish in the top 7?
But to think that Indiana is going to finish below Rutgers, that's absolute. That is crazy.
Yeah, but
how can everybody think that? How can everybody think that Indiana's going to finish 10th? How's that possible?
Well,
So,
is that
I think
that's
it's a
my
reflection
question?
of the sheep.
Is that more of a reflection on Archie Miller than the personnel?
Well, we'll see. I mean, I think it's premature to judge Archie after 2 years. This is the year, and whatever happens after this year, have at him. But I've been around coaching enough to know. I gave Tom Crean a hard time for a long, long time, and then he would turn in a good year every once in a while. So, the injuries were a big deal, and it was Archie's first time playing with big dogs, with the big dogs. These real nice toys, and I've seen high school guys go through it with when they get a top 100 kid. So maybe he learns from it. I'm trying to keep it positive here, Jimmy.
Yeah, we'll certainly see, man. We got a lot of season to come up. Hadn't even started yet. Practice starts tomorrow. Big Ten Media Day. We'll both be up there next Wednesday. Nick may be with me on the air up there. And then Hoosier Hysteria next Saturday. We got plenty more. But join Nick Baumgart now from Indiana Rivals. Nick, thanks a lot, brother. Appreciate you.
Hey, brother. I appreciate the phone call, and we'll put the B team away.
Have a good day and a good weekend, brother. We'll talk to you
Thanks,
soon.
guys. Enjoy.
Nick Baumgart from Indiana Rivals. He just begins his new stint there with Indiana Rivals, so great to have Nick back on. We got a lot more coming up. Back with more from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios right after this. Hello, everybody. Jim Coyle from Indiana Sports Beat. When I'm not covering the Hoosiers, you can find me at Bubba's 33 in Clarksville, located on the northeast corner of I-65 at Veterans Parkway. Bubba's 33 has hand-tossed pizzas, bold burgers, and ice-cold beer from a select list of local craft brewers. An incredible food selection, all made fresh daily. Whether you're meeting the team for that post-win meal in the family dining area or meeting friends for happy hour to watch the game on one of Bubba's 50 TVs. Bubba's 33 in Clarksville. Pizza, burgers, beer.
We all want a winning smile for those championship photos, and that's exactly what you will get at Reynolds Family Dentistry in Sellersburg. Reynolds Family Dentistry has been serving the dental needs of Hoosier families for over 30 years. Let Doctors Roger and Jay Reynolds take care of your family. Just off of I-65 at 809 South Indiana Avenue in Sellersburg. Call 812-246-3368. That's Reynolds Family Dentistry, 812-246-3368.
Now that warm weather has arrived, it's time to hit the links, and there's no better place than the Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington. Voted best golf course by the readers of the Bloomington Herald-Times, the Golf Club at Eagle Point is under new ownership, has new fairways and bunkers, and it's open to the public. When the round's over, there's cold beer and a full menu at the Eagle Point Pub and Bistro. Call 812-824-1100 to make a tee time. That's 812-824-1100. The Golf Club at Eagle Point in Bloomington.
This is AJ Moye.
This is Dan Dockett.
Hey, this is Michael Lewis, former Indiana basketball player.
This is Indiana football coach Tom Allen.
This is Jim Coyle with the Indiana Sports Beat. You can always like and follow us on Facebook. Always follow the show rebroadcast on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, Spotify. TheDailyHoosier.com is a great place to sign up for each and every day, or, of course, on 97.7 The Ref in Evansville. For the best recycling and waste removal service, turn to the area's leader, Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling, a homegrown company serving southern Indiana since 1995. Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling serves Floyd, Clark, Harrison, and Washington counties. For excellent service and peace of mind, call Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling today at 812-944-5642. That's 812-944-5642. Keep life sweet with Sweetland Waste Removal and Recycling.
I'm Rain Shaddy, and I'm a Hoosier. As a toddler, you could always find me running around in a cream and crimson onesie and a red IU hat reminiscent of those worn during the world-famous William Tell timeout, shouting, "Go Hoosiers!" Like many other alum, I chose to make Bloomington my home. As a civic and alumni leader, I have become very knowledgeable about our community and would love to share my insights with you as your realtor. Find me on Facebook or call or text me, Ryan Shaddy, with FC Tucker Bloomington Realtors at 765-623-9093.
This is James Blackman Jr., former Indiana Hoosier. Make sure you're keeping up with the Hoosiers on Indiana Sports Beat.
Hey, welcome back to Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Monday, September 30th. Been a great show thus far. Thanks a lot to Mike Schumann. Thanks to Don Fischer. Heard from Nick Baumgart on all the players from Indiana. A lot of sound there. We've got Tom Allen coming up now and his complete post-game presser after that tough, bitter loss to Michigan State. Let's hear what Coach Allen had to say.
Tough way to lose. Proud of our team. Thought our kids fought. It's hard to face them in the locker room knowing how hard they played. Look them in the eye, and a lot of tears in there, and there should be. Because when you invest the way our guys invest and you work the way our guys work, then it ought to hurt. And it does, But proud of this football team. Come on the road against a top 25 team and had our chances. So just gotta find a way to make one more play. But you start a true freshman left tackle, probably the hardest position on offense to play in a hostile environment against a great defensive line. And I thought Matt Bedford did an awesome job in his first start. And then you started freshman quarterback, his first road game in conference play, and you saw the way Mike Penix played. So thought Coach DeBoer, Kalen did a great job with the game plan to be able to maximize the things that we thought we could do against them. And we're effective in that regard. So just disappointing to not be able to get that stop at the end of the half and stop at the end of the game. To me, those are kind of the two things that sealed our fate. So, but a lot of positive things, and we'll continue to focus on that, which we need to do to keep growing as a football team. But there's, I love that football team in that locker room. Period. Questions?
Matt, go ahead and come.
Coach, you kind of talked about this, but with the performance of some of your younger players like T1, Mullen, Michael Penix, that kind of give you a sense of kind of validation for what you've been building here over the past couple of years?
No question. We're for real. We ain't going nowhere. We're young. Third youngest team in the Big Ten, period. And you just saw how we competed. We didn't show up just to compete. We came to win. And we were one play away from winning. So, yeah, I'm proud of this team. Proud of how we recruited. That ain't going to stop. Proud of what we're building and the way we're building it. Just disappointed.
Coach, can you be a little more specific about how the decision to start Mike played out and how the week went, and then, of course, just what your thoughts were on how he played?
Yeah, obviously, always the most important thing is the welfare of our players, so don't want to put a guy out there that's not ready to play. And very systematic process we went through to decide if he was ready. He didn't practice every day, but he practiced enough to where we felt comfortable playing him and starting him. I really didn't know if he's going to be able to go the whole game, to be very honest with you. I had Peyton ready if we needed to do that. And so, you just go through and you evaluate with our medical staff, and they did a phenomenal job of helping him rehab and get to the point where he could play. And so we just kind of gauged it each day, one day at a time, and see how he felt the next day, and then kind of so forth, so on, and got through Thursday, and then see how he felt even as soon as yesterday to know where he was at. And so that was just kind of the process we went through to figure out if he was able to go. And he felt really good. But to me, the biggest thing is to be able to do what he did in this environment, with just really a couple of games under his belt and really nothing similar in regards to the opponent or, he played a little bit in the Penn State game a year ago, but not on the road, So just really impressed by the way he performed. But so we just felt like he was ready, and it was a team effort, everybody involved. And like I said, we tried to communicate as best we could to everybody and make the best decision for our team. So.
Zach Taylor.
I recognize this is kind of a tough thing to answer in the immediate aftermath, but you talk about feeling like you were just one or two plays away. How do you, if at all, address maybe the one or two maybe just slight overthrows that look like they might have busted for long gains, the interception that looked like it might have turned into a touchdown, those kinds of things? Or is that just something you want to kind of wipe and not carry with them in terms of maybe it haunting them deeper into the season?
Well, you always go back and you got to evaluate. And, there's things that there's calls you make as a coach that you kind of wish you had back. And there's situations that you don't execute. But I still, we got to continue to it's about executing in those key moments, what's the end of the half, end of the game, and just keep finding ways. We're getting, the gap's getting closer and closer, to be able to have those young guys. Just to me, it's just making those one-on-one catches, those one-on-one, defending the ball. The ball's right there. We're right there, and so we're getting better and better every week, just the way we ran the football against that. I know it's 70 yards, but those are 70 tough yards, But and part of our game plan was the perimeter game. And to me, those they don't count as runs in the stats, but those are runs by how we design things. So getting the ball out on the perimeter to our receivers and then blocking for each other. So just go back and look at all that stuff, But there's a lot to build off of, and it's just so disappointing because these guys, man, this is you're so stinking close. But we're not going to get disappointed, but not discouraged.
Taylor, then Peaks.
Coach, you've already talked about Matt Bedford, and the offensive line seemed to open up some holes and get a little bit of leverage today against a tough defensive line for Michigan State. Was that success based more on schematics, or was it based on just kind of the different group that was together and Matt Bedford's performance on the attack?
Well, first of all, I think Matt Bedford is going to be a great offensive lineman. I've said that from the beginning. He's got a lot to learn, and I wasn't sure. I thought he might be a rough day at the office for him in some ways, just because of who he was going against. But because there were some times in practice the last couple of weeks where if you'd have told me he was going to have to come out and start at Michigan State, I'd have been, So, but he responded, and I think when you lose a guy like Coyle, I think you just pull together. I'm telling you, I've just seen it happen time and time again, and I hate that we lost him, and we're definitely it's going to hurt us moving forward. But other guys got to step up. I think that Simon took it personal, and he stepped up, and Caleb stepped up, and Hunter stepped up, and Harry stepped up, and all those guys just elevated their focus and level of play. But I also, I think this, our coach did a good job schematically, kind of giving us some things there and taking advantage of what they're giving us. And as every game passes, you get more information, you know more what you're going to see, and I think that helps us because we can do some good things and figuring that out. And I thought our receivers played really well and caught a lot of tough balls, and but we dropped some too. So he is kind of those are frustrating. But I just think that a guy like Matt, man, he's just, gosh, I'm telling you, that's tough. That's a tough task for him to be thrust into. Because he's not even a seasoned offensive tackle. He played D tackle in high school most of the time. And so just moved his senior year. So he's got a very limited rep base at that position. But he's as good as he wants to be, and he's an amazing kid and works extremely hard. And his biggest fault is he just takes things too personal and gets too hard on himself, and he just needs to, we're trying to work on him. Hey, just play the next play. Play the next play, not dwelling on the last play or the last two or three plays ago. It tends to do that, but Coach Hiller, I think, is an amazing O-line coach that does a great job teaching, and I believe in him. That's why I brought him here, and he's going to get those guys ready. And so it's their job every week to be able to help us run the football and go score points. And so against 31 points against this defense is tough to do. I'm telling you, everybody else has to play against them. So, but it just wasn't enough, which is really tough.
Peaks and Jim.
More so in the first half, but you struggled a little bit when with pass defense, especially seemed like when they tripled up three guys on one side and so forth. Was that just them getting single coverage on you?
Yeah, I mean, they did a little. We got names for those formations that they use, and they're obviously trying to rub you off, and we have different things you can do, and you got it's kind of it's a catch-22 in some ways, and so you can play different, zone concepts around it, but it ends up being a match man in some ways, and they have beaters for those too, So I mean, to me, at the end of the day, you got to decide how you got to have some variance, which we do, but you also got to win one-on-ones, So, but I believe in that. That's how we play, So you don't sit here and second guess the very way that you have built your defense, So, but you got to win those one-on-ones, and Tywan Mullen is another true freshman that kid ain't very big, but he's a tough sucker, and he just makes plays, and. 25 is a big receiver. He's a really good receiver. I think he's the leading receiver in the Big Ten, So, but and he's got a big frame on him, So, but hey, we don't mind. We're going to find guys that want these challenges, and he's one of them, and that's how we're going to play. And we'll go back and evaluate, and we'll get better from this for sure. But I stand by what we do and the way we do it. It'll pay off.
I know there are no moral victories, but with all the youth that you've talked about, what is it that you want those guys to take from this game Monday morning?
Just how much it hurts. Just how much it hurts. And just the fact that, and as I just shared with me, did you do every possible thing? We got some guys that this is their first time traveling and they didn't play a whole lot, and I'm not sure that they really understand, hey, I could have been in the game on that last drive, and just still teaching those young guys. And then what you do during the week and how you prepare. And that's where you just got to keep teaching your guys, So, yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, it was a tough loss. We came here to win, and, we went for it on fourth down early. They stopped us, and then we got a takeaway. We stopped them on fourth down. And that very next drive. And we had a fake punt ready to roll and other fakes and other things we wanted to do. So we came here to let her rip and win the game, So, but yeah, I just, that doesn't mean I'm not proud of our guys, just because you lose a tough one. You're not conceding anything when you say that. You just know your kids fought their tails off and gave you everything they had. And we just got to find a way to make one more play.
Tom Brew, last one.
Coach, can you talk about just those last couple of minutes of the first half there? I mean, it was the special teams issue, and then the quick series and that where they basically got an extra touchdown there. How big was that for you?
Well, I mean, the touchdown right before the half. We always talk about how you finish out the half, and just that I was hot when we came in off the field on that, and just missing that check that we should have got, and then we had a mistake on a special teams. But that's where you've got to continue to just flush through all those, communications and you won't have any issues with how many guys you got on the field and who's supposed to be out there and all those different things. And even that, you think about the punt return that they got called back, and because of the holding, then we got the ball. I mean, we lost, how many yards did we lose there? I mean, probably 45, 50 yards. In field, was it 60? 61. I mean, that makes it even worse. I mean, it was just, to me, that was the game changer right there, and they called holding on our guys. I mean, I'm going to go back and watch it, but that was just those are tough. Those change the game, and we just got to coach our guys up on that. I mean, I don't know how many times we had a couple blocks in the back last week, but we haven't had holdings on our punt return unit. So, but at the same time, I think that to me, that's the bigger issue. Just little stuff like that, in these kind of games. I mean, those decide the outcome, and I just, gosh, man. But our kids put it all out there, and just go back, evaluate it, and get better.
Hey, there's Coach Tom Allen bringing you his thoughts after that tough loss up in East Lansing, a game Indiana could have easily won. But they didn't get it done. But, hey, that's going to wrap it up for us today. We appreciate you joining us again. Thanks to Don Fischer, Mike Schumann, and all the players that we got to hear from. Back tomorrow with more. Of course, it's a Chronic Tuesday. Chronic Hoosier will be with us. We'll get to that. We'll have more from the press conference that goes on later on today as well for football. And then we'll talk more about basketball as we're heading towards Hoosier Hysteria this week. But until then, thanks a lot to Jake keeping us on the track and to all our guests. From the Golf Club League of Point Studios, Indiana Sports Beat. Till then, I will see you on the radio.
sense of humor. I'm still laughing like